would miss in my later years, traveling with my family, taking a rigorous hike with friends, and playing on the floor with my grandkids, even though they were just an idea at that point, and still are. Finally, in desperation, I had an MRI. It revealed a scary picture. Due to genetic hip dysplasia, which I was unaware of, I had worn down the cartilage to the point that I was literally bone on bone in both hips. With every movement, the bones were rubbing against each other, causing friction, more damage, and excruciating pain. Even the surgeons were surprised to see such an extreme case in someone of my age. I was 68 when I first learned this, youngish for this to take place. I went from doctor to doctor, trying to figure out the right action for me. Finally, I asked a top orthopedic surgeon specializing in hip surgery at the University of California, San Francisco, UCSF, what he would do if he were me. He said, "I'd do both hips at once through an anterior procedure, and I'd have it done by a surgeon who does nothing but hip surgeries and specializes in bilateral replacement." I took his advice, but the surgeon I found had a 3-month waiting list. What was I supposed to do in the meantime? When I asked my orthopedist for advice on pre-covery, things I could do to manage pain, keep my life going, and prepare for a successful surgery and recovery, he told me to buy a cane. I thought he was kidding, but he was not. I was convinced there had to be a better solution. So I doubled down on yoga and Pilates to further strengthen my core. After some digging, I learned that inflammation was worsening my pain. I sought advice from several experts such as Dr. Mark Hyman at the Cleveland Clinic and Rudy Tanzi, Ph.D. at Harvard University, who recommended that I try an anti-inflammatory diet. Although many in the traditional medical community dismissed this type of diet as mere hype or as too difficult to follow, I was willing to try anything. I cut out dairy, gluten, and most sugar, an anti-inflammatory way of eating that is now increasingly recommended for lifelong brain health. In truth, the only thing I didn't cut out was wine. Let's be honest. It just feels good to have an occasional glass of wine at the end of the day. What may sound like a sad way to live, foregoing all those types of foods, resulted in a huge win. Within 6 weeks, all of the pain in my hips went away. I got my life back. I even considered not doing the surgery, but bone on bone isn't a good foundation for long-term health. I didn't stop there. I continued to build my pre-covery plan. As I dug deeper, I discovered the work of pioneering experts like Peggy Huddleston, a psychotherapist and researcher who does mindfulness training at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. She showed me how meditation, affirmations, and my network of friends and family could optimize my resilience and speed my recovery. It helped drive home the point that the body, mind, and spirit are intimately interconnected, both in sickness and in health. When I finally had the double hip surgery, my recovery was remarkable. I was in the hospital for only 1 night, despite being told it would be at least 3. I was walking, including navigating stairs, without a cane or walker within a few days, though I'd been warned that it would be at least a few weeks before that happened. And I was fully recovered and back to my normal activities within a month. Of course, this is my individual experience, and for many people, even with all the pre-covery in the world, this may not be the outcome. This is just one example of our body's ability to bounce back from trauma and disease, and even recover from physical and mental deterioration linked with aging. Now, as I write this at 73, I feel stronger and more resilient than I did at 68 or even at 58. While I still primarily eat an anti-inflammatory diet, that doesn't mean I don't indulge in pizza and ice cream. I do.